For disclaimer. Hello everyone, and for this video, this is going to be the Beyblade X manga chapter review for chapter 8. Now, first of all, I want to shout out my boy Keo for any of the general notes and information, and as well shout outs to the whole team for working on the chapter, but very, very excited. Also, Team Extreme Scanslations has the thing out, so however you find that piece of media, good luck. And obviously, you know, buy the official Koro and that type of stuff, you know, support the official release. And we're gonna get into this. So we do have the fun part, which is essentially that you get the new characters like Uni Namba, and then after, what is it, Zunamos Nikoyama. I really hate trying to pronounce their name, so I might mess it up. But something I want to point out is that we have mallbase.com, because we have Beyblade X products. We have pre-orders for that lovely unicorn Beyblade. Not only that, but like I've already said, the Phoenix Wing is on back order right now. We're going to be getting it right at the end of the month. So if you place any orders with it, or in general with any bundle stuff, you will be waiting at the end of the month once we get the unicorn, so we can just ship out everything together. But it helps keep the channel alive, so I really would appreciate if you could check it out. Otherwise, you just like and comment here. But I did like this little cover reference. Not really reference, you know what I mean. This cover thing, because they're basically working on the Beyblade of the Hell Scythe, the Team Persona version. I thought that was really cute. The cover had like a little reference to them all working on it. The chapter starts off and it's like, whoa, Common X is defeated, Drawn Dagger is slain, Burn wins, and Multi's like, no. Phoenix Wing also went out, and essentially what happened was Common X basically tilted his Drawn Dagger and forced it to basically use all that speed, right? Because it basically had very much high speed, and it couldn't stop itself, so then after it just ejected and it self-KO'd. So I have to say, the fact that they're able to incorporate like real life logic into this in an interesting way for how the bays work, like it's pretty much lore accurate for performance, which I have to give credits to the writing here, because that is really smart. Essentially, they're basically kind of recapping this idea that, you know, Common X, his greatest asset here is his speed, but if Burn can go faster than Common X, then it's going to be very scary. So when this battle starts, they both enter into an intense speed, and Drawn Dagger changes trajectory and he's going right for it for an extreme dash. But then after, you know, Burn goes on this monologue, and I love this. Times have changed. The title of the fastest now belongs to my Phoenix Wing. And that was thanks to you being my stepping stone. Thank you, Common X. Thank you, Drawn Dagger. Now, the first mistake, bro. He monologued. It already said... if you're doing a monologue in B, that's almost the same thing as doing the Vegeta pose, right? You're gonna get clapped. I love the thing when he's like, okay, now it's time to kill you. And he does the burning maneuver. But guess what happens? He's fast and he dodges it. And I love the bird's reaction. It's like, bro, what the fuck? And then after Common X is like, when it comes to the highest speed, I can see it. However, you are not as fast to me, not even close, and I will show you the unseen X. So he basically just dodges the burning maneuver, goes against the extreme line, and Multi, for some reason, just I guess to fill out the panel for this thing, goes, oh, this is how he defeated me. He goes for a double extreme dash, Phoenix Wing holds on, and he's like, oh, we're both running out of stamina? Nah, the real fun starts now. Goes for this shit another time, because the whole gimmick with Rush is that it can basically repeatedly do an extreme dash. Does triple again. He holds on, and this is kind of like the part I love with Common X, that, you know, he's basically like, he feels to me like he's a blader that's like, if the end game blader was at the start of the season, because he's like, bro, 3 times I've done my extreme dash and I still can't beat you? Alrighty, here comes another one, and Burn's just trying to live, but he keeps on going fast. He keeps on going again and again and again and again, and his fastest. It's kind of like the Frieza thing, where it's like, okay, this is 5% of my true power. I'm gonna show you even more now. And he does the extreme dash infinity, and he just kills him. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I love this quite a bit. This section of the chapter, I like it quite a bit. For one, it shows Common X's why he's a pro, why he's able to adapt. Burn basically was not able to account for the fact that Common X is much faster than he anticipated, so his plans of mass-producing Phoenix Feather to be able to try to see the speed of his Beyblade and use that to his advantage all backfired and failed. So this part of the writing for the strategy and how Common X wins, because I had a lot of time to sit on this and think about it, I think this is really well done. And I'm going to give kudos again to the writing team for this one, because they absolutely did a stellar job here. In terms of that, for like this battle strategy, I love a lot. Now, this is where, okay, so basically, you know, Burn basically says, wow, that was absolutely beautiful. But here's where it gets important. He says, you and your drone deck are showing me the potential of the infinite potential of Beyblade. He says, I must begin research immediately, farewell. Let us meet again for Bay time shift. So think about this for a second when he's saying that. And I might do another video on this. I think, obviously, I think there's no more Phoenix Wing after this. I think he's going to make another Phoenix Bay to be even faster than that when he's going to return. Because he's essentially seen that the speed that he is known is irrelevant in the Bay that he has developed. And now his goal is going to be try to become even faster than that, because this whole idea is like, okay, he's strong, but if I can be faster than him, I have the advantage. And I like this setup for Burn. I'm kind of okay with Burn losing in this context, right? Because if Burn's going to basically manufacture this Beyblade, and it's like, it reminds me of like the androids in the Dragon Ball Saga with like Dr. Jerome Android 19, or Cyborg 19, whatever, when like they're like, oh, we've calculated all this data, and it's like, no, you haven't. So this was pretty cool. The other part where this kind of gets really weak for me is Uni Namba and Tsunamos Nikoyama. Because essentially both of them are just jobbers. They're just fodder. They have no faith in themselves. They literally just want to forfeit. They literally just want to forfeit the whole thing. They have no confidence in, neither of them have confidence in themselves. So this whole purpose of them proposing a 2v2, it's like, okay, well, at least in a 2v2, we'll have a good chance. So this gets basically accepted because it gets, Common X's kind of nature basically gets like, you know, used here. And that's how basically Unicorn Sting, and then after the Sphinx happens. Now, the issue with this is that because of the fact this whole chapter has to focus on Burn and Common X, you have almost no time at all to focus on this 2v2. And that's the issue in the pacing here for this chapter in particular, because I would have liked to see maybe more of their personalities, even just a quick little run by of like a bio of them. Like, what is their backstory? Why should I care about them at all? And I understand that it's a limited amount of pages that they can do. They can only do so much. This is why the anime has a lot of benefit, because they can expand on this type of stuff. So Multi basically changes to her cool outfit, which I do have to say, rip Shield, because I have not seen Shield appear at all in the manga after that. But you get a very nice shot of all the four bladers launching. I still love their character designs. Now, where I get really annoyed with Bird here is it's basically like, okay, go Hell's Chain. And they point out that this is the exact same thing that he did during the battle with Pancho. The exact same thing. We just went for it, he hit, and he failed. Regardless if you want to see, well, Pan basically had this strong shoot, angled, whatever the case. The same mistake. And King is like, oh, is he just going to do an imitation extreme dash? And the big reveal here is he's trying to imitate, right, the whole thing of Common X's infinite extreme dash, or the infinity extreme dash. So then after he hits Sphinx, and can you guess what happens after this point with Sphinx? The Bay just goes out and it gets wrung out, so it's almost the exact same setup, the exact same result for Rhino Horn. And what I really hate about this is how Bird is always generally treated. I think the best way to kind of illustrate my criticism towards this very hyper-specific aspect of how they handle Bird is just in terms of the visual expressions we see with Bird. And you can tell me whether or not, like, what do you think about what I'm saying here, but You know, in chapter 1 and chapter 3, for an example, when Bird loses, you know, it's not like it's like he's making some goofy whatever. They treat it very silly. You know, it's very serious. He's taking it so very seriously from how he lost from that specific point right after that. And in chapter 4 onwards, cut over test, yes, they did do that right. But for an example, the Pancho thing, I didn't really like. And even in the latest one, when they kind of have like the silly, goofy expressions, whatever, you cannot deny that it is like it is a tonal shift. It is a tonal shift in how they're kind of treating it. So if I ever say, oh, I think Bird is treated like a gag or whatever, I'm talking about like visual comedy, you know, like when he's losing in particular, not just that losing is the gag, which if you're interpreting it as that, it is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the expressions that he makes when he loses, I don't like it when they put it there because it just feels very off-putting from the serious tone that Bird's supposed to have when he loses. And then after they have this whole advantage, because now Bird has lost, so they're trying to take advantage of this, and basically she goes and tries to attack Multi, and she fails. She fails and she loses because there was like this tilt counter or whatever against Unicorn. She just, I guess, assumed that she would have the advantage, or her team would have the advantage because now it's wasted all that stamina. But then after they mention, oh, actually, no, well, that hit that Bird did before actually contributed to something. And then after Lance just does a bunch of hits. So basically, Lance does most of the work and just does it. My only real issue in that regard is just I wish you kind of saw that Lance was kind of weakened, or maybe there could have been another panel of a reaction where he's like, hey, what's going on with Sphinx? No, don't tell me. Don't tell me that one hit was what actually caused it. And then after basically they both lose, they kind of accept it pretty fairly, and then Team Persona wins. So my issue is for this chapter is general the pacing near the end. I wish we got to see more personality of these characters, but again, obviously limited page count. I don't like how Bird is treated with the visual gag comedy. I feel it's so unneeded to him. And my issue is just the general progression, because yes, we are seeing Bird progress, like, kind of, but I wish there was more. Like, why couldn't it be something like, okay, Bird used his Hell's Chain, he used the defense position to block off one of Unicorn's attacks, and he did, then he does the infinite imitation whatever, and then after he loses. And that could have been a thing where it's like, well, Bird's progressing because now he's learning how to utilize his Beyblade's gimmick properly. You know, something interesting in that regard. To me, when Bird is basically, like, these other teammates of Uni and Zoo, right? When both of them are not even confident in themselves to even win, and that's why they do the 2v2. When Bird can even win against weak people like that, against jobbers, against fodder, it makes it really hard to sell this journey to me, because if he's not even winning in the anime, and in the manga, he's not even winning outside of the X Tower, he's not even winning against fodder or a bunch of weak people, and like, the anime is doing slightly better, but I just wish the development and kind of pushing on the progression there was kind of like a little bit more in the focus there, because there is that importance that I feel they're kind of getting, but to me, it feels like they keep, it's not done well. And I want to kind of highlight this part on this idea of, like, tension and stakes. I feel that there is tension and stakes in terms of how Bird is viewing himself in the world, because he doesn't want to hold the team back and all that stuff, but in terms of the actual narrative and how it is, it's almost like there's no real consequences really right now, or true stakes overall for the team, because Bird loses no matter what right now, and that's obviously Bird's journey as he's going to progress, and eventually, however, they're going to write it hopefully good for him to win. But Multi's approach, he basically sweeps. Common X at the top level, and he's basically going to sweep. And then after you have it where you basically have it where it's 2 guaranteed wins, even if Bird loses, it doesn't really matter. I'm just kind of wondering, how do they go from there? How do they make things interesting? Maybe something like Metal Masters. Maybe they try to do more of this team battle idea. Maybe they try to, I don't know, maybe like it's like a win-loss or something, and then after maybe Bird is the tiebreaker or something, you know. again, we have a long way to go in that regard, so I'm just curious kind of where it's handled from there. And now let's kind of talk about my thoughts on Team Yggdrasil. I am okay with this, actually. I think they weren't really hyped up. It's just the cover looks so good for when we see them. But it's kind of funny that all of them are a bunch of frauds. Like, Burn made this whole plan, but he didn't account for the fact that Common X was way faster than he anticipated. Uni and Zoo losing, it's okay. It's okay, I guess. You know, it's kind of like a good subversion of the expectations. Though, I wish they were maybe, and this just goes to the pacing, I just wish in their tag team they maybe were a little bit more interesting. Like, instead of it being that Bird maybe hits it and then he just gets deflected, oh, here's the defense gimmick advertisement, why not make it something along the lines of Bird doesn't just lose because he repeats the exact same strategy from before and only imitates Common X, because that's just kind of lazy, honestly, to me. I would like it more, maybe it was like, he did it, and maybe like he had a unique strategy to this, and when he did it, well, guess what? He actually activates Gear Needle. Gear Needle forces a counter back at him that he wasn't able to anticipate, and maybe that's how he... At least then that could have made sense. I don't know. I feel the utilization of the tag team was very weak, but again, it's the page count, but I'm actually okay with Yggdrasil not being like this top tier, sort of like unbeatable group, whatever. Like, anyways, we already knew that Burn was not going to win. So I'm just wondering from there on out, like, dude, how strong is Chrome then, or where do they go from there? But that's kind of it. I think the chapter's highlight is definitely the first battle for its strategy. Anything else? I just really like the arts for the characters. I like Uni quite a bit. I think they're kind of like, they're kind of interesting, I guess, kind of, you know, just because they're like, I don't know even. I think it's just kind of how they reacted to the situation. I don't really particularly feel that strong. I can't wait to find out more about them, I guess, in the anime, so I can at least try to care about them a little bit more. But that's kind of it. And again, these are just my thoughts for kind of how I view it. If you agree, you agree. If you disagree, you disagree. That's the whole point of this. Keep it civil. Don't, like, try to choke each other out, trying to kill each other over these opinions, right? We're just here to talk and everything. I do apologize for this chapter being a very long review, but contextually this did have to be a long review because I wanted to get out all my thoughts and I wanted to explain. I didn't want this to be like something where, if, let's say, because Twitter, I usually just type very, like, specific points and I don't really elaborate a lot of times. It's my fault. That's kind of why. But thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to see where they lead up to this with UX. I think the next chapter might do promo for that Hell Scythe. I have a good feeling that's going to be I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the manga, actually, that Persona Hell Scythe. And Bird will probably use it or something. Maybe that's how Bird gets the win. I don't know. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.